Well, hello and good afternoon, No Limits Living community. Alejandro Tornato coming directly from, you know where from, Beaufort, Georgia. A great day here in Beaufort and happy Monday to all of you. I hope that you all had a fantastic, relaxing, and a good time for reflecting weekend. And now that you are once again re-energized for the week ahead. And today I'm so happy because we are connecting once again with Carpe Diem, with Alejandro and Bob. And of course, Alejandro is here. Let me just bring my dear friend Bob Di Giacomo because he cannot wait to say hello to you from you know where. He'll tell you where from. And here it is, my dear friend Bob Di Giacomo. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been in this room several times, and I developed a level of curiosity. I figured I should probably see what's in the room around me.
Yes, I mean, and Bob, in a very subtle way, he's always he has a particular way of introducing the topic that we are going to be discussing. And guess what the topic for today is? Let me shoot straight to you. Is developing an attitude of curiosity in your life. Now, before we begin, I always like to begin uh, uh, speaking and discussions or interviews by posing a question to the audience, a question to each one of us. Have you, during your life, have you cultivated a spirit of curiosity? Uh, do you think that curiosity is a benefit for you? Do you think that it is an asset? I mean, to have that attitude of curiosity? Yes, no? Why yes? Why not? Well, today you are in the right place because today, in the next few moments, Bob and myself, we are going to be discussing this topic because it is very crucial. And you will see that curiosity has a lot to offer to your life, to my life, to anybody's life. So why don't we just begin? And I'm going to pass the torch, to my friend Bob, so he can tell us a little bit more about whether he's actually a curious person or not.
Well, first I need to get something straight.
Okay.
Do I need to have an attitude to develop a curiosity, or do I not need to have an attitude?
Well, you don't have to have a bad attitude or a
Oh,
miserable
okay.
attitude. To develop curiosity, uh, you just have to. I think that I think that curiosity begins with, at least in my case, it has always been um, a desire to explore. I think that when we talk about curiosity, we also have to talk about exploration. Because I think that what curiosity is all about exploring new things and new ideas and new adventures.
So I've lost you. I think
Hello?
you'll come back in a second. Are you there?
Yes, I'm
I'm
here.
curious. Okay. Because I was almost going to take an attitude and and complain about the internet. But then how could I complain about the internet when I think back to what it was like back in the late 80s, early 90s, when we had to dial into the internet and listen to all sorts of noise. And I think what was it? If you were moving at 56 kilobits pretty fast, and it was wonderful to hit 128. Oh my gosh. And then 256, and things just continue. I think 640 came next. But interestingly enough, I'm curious because now we don't rehearse anything that we talk about, but we're always unplugged. But I mentioned to you that I sold my car today.
Yes.
And you then had a curiosity question. You said, why did you sell it? Why didn't you just take it with you? And so that evolved in some additional. I think where I'm going with this, and I'm going to develop this a little further, is that a good coach needs to have an attitude of curiosity in order to develop some quality questions. And so without any further ado, you proceeded to ask me some questions, although you were answering some of them at the same time, which a good coach, we allow the individual to develop the answer.
Sure.
So you were asking me, well, is it more expensive to bring the car with you on the boat? And my answer, of course, was yes. But then I added a little bit more spice to the meal, and I said, but of course, it's right-hand drive, and suddenly your eyes lit up, and you reminisced about some days that you lived in an earlier part of your life when you had gotten your driver's license over there.
Across the pond in England, yes.
And of course, those of you who have fought in World War I, you would understand the song "Over There," so people would understand that naturally. And then we got into this question that I suddenly was curious and came up with a question and an answer. And I said, aha, for those of you that saw the previous recording that we did just the other day, we were talking about Alejandro's car and how I was able to guess the color of his car. I've never seen Alejandro's car, but my curiosity kept building. And it suddenly dawned on me today, based on what you were saying just prior to us getting on the air here, that you used to like to drive a Mini Cooper. And it evolved in my mind as to why you have a Velociter, because you enjoy sitting on the floor. Because I think in a former life, you had a couple of O's in front of your name. You were a double O agent, and you like to drive those small cars and hide underneath those tractor trailer trucks, because my car won't fit underneath the tractor trailer, but you in that Velociter or that Mini Cooper would be able to very easily get underneath, like Smokey and the Bandit. But then you continued with the curiosity of telling me, well, there's a lot of room in that car. And I continued to say, but first you got to get on the floor to get in. And so that was our curiosity. And then something else was percolating. And you were questioning me. You were curious as to why I was having a snack just before we got on today. And I said, well, a good soldier never knows where his next meal is going to come from. And then you started to add how you were going to sneak upstairs at the end of this recording and not even let the refrigerator know that you were going in to have some sort of a lunch, because we are an hour different.
That's right.
We are an hour different. And so you were describing, and then we got into another curiosity mode that it just seems to me that conversations of curiosity can lead to information you didn't even know you were going to be receptive of. I mean, we got so far as for you to tell me all about the Big Mac. No, no, not the Big Mac.
The
Im-
Impossible Burger,
the Impossible Whopper,
the
and
Impossible Whopper.
and then you suddenly had me salivating for a quarter pounder with cheese because I'm a Mac person. Although Wendy's isn't too bad either. But where are we going with all of this? Developing curiosity, being a good coach, and whether you're a parent, a business owner, a manager, a kid playing in the playground, questions are so important, which will get you, because if you ask the right question, if you're curious enough to ask the right question, you will get the information. But if you don't ask the right question, it may take you a whole lot of questions to get to the point.
Exactly, and following on that, is not sometimes asking the right questions. Although asking the right questions is something good, because then you have a target that you want to hit. But is sometimes in conversations that you may have, perhaps with a friend, perhaps with a significant other, I mean, in any relationship, with your boss, it is not the right questions, but it's sometimes the difficult questions that you know that you need to ask. And sometimes you don't ask because of the fear of what the response is going to be. And I think that that's where a spirit of curiosity, you mentioned that not only in our lives, but in business, a spirit of curiosity is vital and essential. And I just want to share something with you and the audience, that there was a research being done that says that curiosity is vital to an organization's performance. It says one aspect of good leadership is for leaders to have a curious attitude and to nurture curiosity throughout their organizations to ensure that it translates to success. So, sometimes, I mean, and it happened to me. I used to work in engineering, and I know, because some companies that I work with, you would feel very at ease asking questions, and they encourage employees to have an attitude of curiosity. And yet others and other companies, they were so close that they would not allow that curious freedom to flow freely in employees. And I think that companies that do, they experience more success than companies that don't.
Can you appreciate what a high C like me would be in a company where they don't allow questions? It'd be like being penned up in the corral, and an attitude would develop. Oh my gosh, an attitude would develop. As opposed to this other company that you're mentioning, where they open the gate and say, run free, and questions. But there's a danger to that, because a high C like me may never stop running,
Yeah,
because we always have questions.
yeah, and you know, it's is developing that attitude of asking. And I think that one of the most important questions that we can ask is the why question. Okay, why do we have to do this just like this? Why can we not implement a different process? Why can I? And you know, that is what happens. I mean, when we are kids, we have that desire to explore, and is why the world is round, and why does it take so much to do this, and why? And sometimes parents, they quenched that spirit, and it says, oh, stop asking questions. No, 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 no. Never stop asking questions, because it's through the asking of questions that science progresses, that the world keeps revolving. Is not let me say something that I read, and I wrote it down, and I wanted to share it with you, because I think that this is incredible. um, Eric Schmidt, who was Google's CEO from 2001 to 2011, for 10 years. Now, Eric Schmidt said, we run this company on questions, not answers. Now, isn't that beautiful? We run this company on questions. We empower people to ask questions, because we know that success follows the kinds of questions that we can ask.
Well, if there were not curiosity out there with an attitude of being curious, then inventors would cease to invent. And each one of us has the capability to invent something. But it's that attitude that we potentially take which causes us either to move forward or not to move forward with that thought and invention. And oh my gosh, just imagine that the world could be even more better if we actually followed through with what our curiosity gave us.
Yeah.
But I want to expand on your why. Why? I can think of the child growing up next to me. Why? And it's like cotton balls in the ears, because we get wide to death sometimes. And that's why, as good coaches, we learn to put in who, what, when, where, and how, which helps us to evolve to answer the why. What would be the reason why? How could we do that better? What is it that we're missing that we need to add to this in our attitude of curiosity? What have we left out? What do we need to keep out? Let's see. When are we looking for this to be brought to its fruition? When would you like that done? If we're in a business environment and we don't put a date on it, then we're just walking in circles.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, reading one statement that the great inventor Thomas Edison said, he said, there are no rules here. We are trying to accomplish something. And so, I mean, he was.
You don't want me to say why?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was that spirit that is always researching and asking questions. It says, when we are curious, we view tough situations more creatively. I mean, do you think that that's right? I mean, when we develop, I mean, that curiosity, because we generate alternative solutions to view a particular problem, no matter how tough that problem may be.
When the cat is being curious and is exploring, I dare say that cat is focused on what that curiosity is. And it could actually lead that cat into trouble because they are so focused on what they are doing and where they are going that their senses around them don't focus anymore on what's going on. And
Yeah.
that's why you can sneak up on a cat when they're busy being curious, and hence curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought him back.
Yeah. Indeed it is. Um, Now, do you think do you think that curiosity reduces group conflict? I mean, if you're working on a team, in a particular group, I mean, on a project, um, do you think that allowing the members of that team, I mean, to be curious, I mean, to ask questions, and to do you think that enhances the team performance, or is a detriment
Oh,
to
it's definitely an enhancement that if you don't enhance it, it becomes a detriment. And not only would you have the team enhancing, but you would probably be better breaking the team into smaller teams and then gathering all the curiosities that come forth with all the questions that come forth, and then you can come up with the bigger grand answer.
yeah.
I dare say, you know, sometimes, and I could remember in the classroom situation. Of course, in the army, there's no curiosity. They did what they were told, um, but they might question on the side. But in the classroom situation, if you let too big of a group have at it, at some point you've got to draw a line to say, okay, great feedback.
Yeah.
Now let's bring it in. I'm curious to know what you have come up with.
Yeah, yes, definitely. So, were you? I remember myself. I mean, as a kid and growing up, that I was always curious. I always wanted to explore different things. I mean, even from an early age, I always wanted to travel. Even before I actually knew that actually traveling, going and visiting and mingling with other peoples, other cultures, was a mind expanding activity, a mind blowing activity. I mean, you could really get better, I mean, as a human being by being immersed with other people in the world. I always had that desire, I mean, to travel. And it was so much so that I eventually was given that opportunity, and I traveled. And I mean, there are so many more parts in the world that I would love to go and explore, but I was very fortunate, and it was a great privilege. I mean, to travel then and to see other things and the memories that were created. But that is all that spirit of curiosity, of exploration, of saying, hold on, what you know. One very quick example. As you know how some people that go as tourists to other countries, they, especially I think Americans, they go to other countries, and they go, if they have to go to a restaurant, they go to where all the tourists go. Okay. Well, when I traveled, I love to go not to where the tourists went, but where the local people went, even if it was a restaurant that didn't have tablecloth. I mean, it had paper on, or not even a cloth on the table, and they brought things, and perhaps it was just a little bit, perhaps on the rough side, but that's where the locals went, and I wanted to experience that experience. So that was always that spirit of curiosity that I had. But it really brought me great memories that I can remember. I mean, of those trips. So how about you? I mean, did you always have a spirit of curiosity?
Well, I have to ask you a question first. What you're just describing, are those pieces of the puzzle the missing pieces of the puzzle of your life that you're still working on putting together?
Um,
There are still pieces you have not yet put in your puzzle.
um, in terms of traveling.
Could be. But I do have a story, a very quick story, as we're coming down to the end here. And curiosity, an attitude of curiosity can be just as dangerous as it can be positive. I remember back when I was 9 years old and I had been left in California with my brother, my older brother. My parents flew back to New York, and I was going to be there for several weeks. And what that meant was that he was at work during the day. I was left in the apartment. Now, of course, remember, I was the naive with the Coke bottles for glasses. So I started to explore. And I came across this item that was, it was in a leather container of some sort. So I took it out, and it had a long tube on the end, and it had something that spun, and oh, there was a like a little hammer that you could pull back, and there was a thing in there that you could pull, a pistol, a 38. Now I had no clue. I had no clue. My curiosity, of course, got the best of me, and fortunately, I held it, I guess, in the right direction, because I did ultimately pull on this trigger thingy. It went off. Now, I'm here today because I didn't have it facing the wrong direction.
That's right.
But I had to explain why there was a hole in the wall.
I mean, that's right.
So sometimes an attitude of curiosity, it needs to be tempered with supervision.
Well, I think so, especially at an early age, because you really don't know everything about everything. And so, yes, at an early age. Now, when you are an adult, it can still get you into trouble, because, yes, I mean, you can be curious, I mean, to do something, and perhaps you don't have the dexterity or the ability or whatever it is, and it can hurt you, or it can harm you in one way or the other. So yeah, I mean, we have to exercise caution, but I think that even though, that I truly believe that, we need, in order to keep moving forward, I think that we need that, behind us, that wind of curiosity pushing us through, because otherwise, everything, I mean, everything will stay in the status quo if there is no more curiosity to, I mean, to see beyond.
So one last point, because you talk about action, reaction. In the military, we have to watch out for what we call the back blast.
The back.
Back blast.
Oh, the back blast.
Because when you fire certain weapons,
Oh, you mean like a recoil?
No, back blast. When you fire certain weapons, you get a lot of stuff going forward.
Yes.
But there's just as much stuff coming backwards that's coming out of the weapon, because you've got a lot of energy taking place. And it's important that when others are firing those weapons of curiosity forward, that they know where the backblast is and that you know where the backblast area is, and don't go in that area because it can mess up your day.
Yeah, it can be quite dangerous. Yes, indeed. So, of course, um, as in any subject that we cover, 30 minutes is not enough to really do a deep dive, or to exhaust the subject. We are just perhaps walking very, very much on the surface of things. I mean, but we want to explore these topics, and we want to, in a sense, we want to inspire a spirit of curiosity. So you heard about it, and then you can just go on your own, and you can perhaps go a little bit deeper on the benefits of having a curious mind. But is there anything? I mean, just as a last words of wisdom, or any announcement that you would like to make, Mr. Bob?
Well, certainly, I would encourage those people who want to know more, be more, and do more to get involved in the mastermind groups that we're going to be launching. We have several book studies lined up that will include some books from Maxwell, as well as other authors of
Yeah.
reputation. And by the way, we're going to be launching very soon a special, I don't want to call it a course, but a special opportunity for people to plug in. And if they're curious as to wanting to know more, they should reach out to you at your email, and I'll let you tell them what yours is in a second, or they can reach out to mine, intentional growth at icloud.com, intentional growth at icloud.com, and say, hey, I'm curious. I have this attitude of curiosity. Tell me more.
That's exactly right. And certainly, I mean, you can reach to me. You can do that on my Facebook pages, or my email is Alejandro at alejandrojtornato.com. And I'll be more than glad, I mean, to answer any questions that you have, and to point you in the right direction. But Bob said that, yes, I mean, this program that we're working on and launching soon is definitely a change maker. Okay, is a change maker, because the subjects that we are covering will definitely resonate with you, and will definitely make a difference in your life. Okay, so stay plugged, because we will be giving you more details on how to register and how to be part of that program. Okay, so nothing more, nothing else from me. It was great to spend these moments with you, Bob, and with our audience. And I just want to remind you to live every moment. Okay, be curious, develop that spirit of curiosity and exploration, and be kind, be passionate, and be well. And until we meet the next time, and also be intentional. Don't forget to be intentional every single day. Take care, Bob.
Bye-bye. See
All
you
the
again.
best.